channel Wobbly Bookbird, and on today's video I will be reviewing The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. This copy is in a Illumicrate copy, hence the pink sprayed edges, and it's of course signed somewhere. It's somewhere signed. There. And this came in the December box. I am going to start, I think, if I can make sure it doesn't overcrowd my channel again, doing unboxings back on my channel, because I miss them. However, I would also want to try and keep up to date with reading their, releases. So I'm going to have, I think, 2 playlists, Fairyloot and Illumicrate, which will just be reviews of the books that they've put in. I feel that'd be quite interesting, and I think it'd be quite good to do as well. So that's what I'd like to do. So this would be the first one. So yeah, this is The Ravens, and this is a non-spoiler review, by the way. This, all I knew was that it's about sorority girls, which is something that is big in America. I'm not from America, as you can probably tell by my accent. I am, of course, from the United Kingdom, where we don't really have the whole sorority girls here. So that was quite interesting for me anyways, going into this book, because I don't really know what that type of culture is like. But not only are they sorority girls, they're also witches. And that intrigued me because I love witchcraft. I think it's so fascinating. And I'm a Wiccan, so it just makes sense that I'd be interested in this. Yes, so I went into this having no idea what it was going to be like at all. But I was very, very interested, especially by the cover. The cover really intrigued me. I think it's so pretty. And I was actually quite surprised, actually. It was better than what I thought it was going to be. I'm just going to grab my review book now. So yeah, this is my book that I'm currently using for my reviews, and it's so much nicer because there's so much space, which is great. So I can really put the important information down. So I started this on the 30th of December and I finished it on the 30th of January. There's 400 pages. The genre of it is dark contemporary fantasy. So if that's something you're interested in, then definitely give it a go. It's a more recent release. It came out late last year, 3rd of November. And let's crack on with the non-spoiler review, shall we? So for character development, I gave this 4 out of 5. I thought it was really, really good. It had really good character development, especially on the 2 main characters. This is the type of book that you get a very close up, what's the word I'm looking for? A character profile of 2 of the characters, which were Scarlet and Vivian, who are the 2 main characters in this. They are the point of view characters, and we followed them. So through following them, you really get a good insight into what's going on in their heads and their emotions and what they're feeling and why they're doing, the way that the actions that they're doing. And I thought it was really good, and I think it went into it really, really, really well. I think the only issue with this is it's classed as sorority girls, but you only focus on 2 of the sorority girls. So a lot of the other girls in this story got overlooked. And I don't know, I so far there was something missing. Maybe a 3rd point of view I think might have been good. Maybe of one of the other characters that weren't maybe part of the sorority girls, one of the male characters. Maybe that would be interesting. Because there's a male character that's quite close to, he becomes close to Scarlet, and that would have been a really interesting character point of view to have in this. And I think there were times when, between Scarlet and Vivian, my favourite character was Scarlet. The way that she was done felt quite realistic. all of her emotions, even her actions that weren't very good, through her feelings, her actions could be understood. While I kind of felt like Vivian, there wasn't a lot of fault to her, and I think a lot of her faults were like overlooked, which I think is what kind of brought down the character development for me a little. Because Scarlet was done wonderfully, while Vivian felt like there wasn't as much effort put into her. And the contrast you can really see through reading this. The plot development I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was scattered in places, I think. Like, I was kind of expecting... What I mean by scattered, it was like, you got a bit of the plot here, got a bit of the plot there, a bit of the plot over there, and eventually all came together. But then by the time it came together, it felt a bit lackluster, when the ending could have really paid off if more attention to the important details was actually given. And instead, I felt like it kind of got overlooked by romance, which was kind of sad, because I think this is something that, like, maybe do a breakdown of a romance, but in terms of actually making a romance happen, you needed a bit more time. And I know that this is a duology, or it's meant to be a duology, so maybe that would have been better in the second book. And I think one of the characters, Tiffany, definitely needed more building. And she's important to the plot, and she definitely needed more building. There wasn't enough of her in this, even though she was core central to the plot. That's kind of sad. The world building, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was really good. I think it was a really strong build for the Ravens, and getting to know how the magic work. But I think it would have been really nice to have had a lot of the history of, like, the Ravens' history, and a lot more of the kind of, like, the other witches in the world were really overlooked here. Except for being told that they existed, they felt kind of non-existent. Yeah, the language I gave 4 out of 5. I really loved the language, and I really loved how it described the magic in this. I thought it was really good. And I love the similarities to Wicca. I thought that was really, really... I really loved that. I really enjoyed this aspect of it. Yeah, and the pacing, it had a really strong start. I really loved the start. Like, most of the time when I read a book now, it kind of... like, the start isn't very great. Sometimes it's quite slow. But this had a really, really, really strong start. I think, as I said before, like, because the plot development, the pacing kind of suffered from that. It got a bit choppy in places. And at times there were times where it was a bit slow or a bit fast. But honestly, the pacing was pretty decent throughout this book. Like, it wasn't anything too big that it had an impact on the story. And that's why I give the pacing a 5 out of 5. So overall, I thought it was a really decent read. If you want something that's supernatural, but also has a bit of drama, and it's kind of like a mystery thriller, pick this up, give this a go. It's really good, honestly. And I think, like, fans of, like, The Vampire Diaries, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Teen Wolf, all those kind of supernatural shows and books would really love this, actually. And I think if you're a fan of that, definitely give this a go. And I'm really looking forward to the sequel. I'm definitely going to give it a chance. And I really enjoyed it. And just as a quick disclaimer, even though this was an Illumicrate December book that I got, I paid for it. So nothing here was given free. All my opinions are my own. And yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 20 out of 25. And it got 80%. So it got a 4 star, which is pretty decent. Really good, and I really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to the sequel. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.